also to explore, to travel, and to experience. And over the last 11 years, with my honor students, we had the privilege of visiting 11 destinations in Africa, beyond Africa, and also within our own country. And the task that we then embark on is a destination competitive analysis of how that destination is performing and what are the shortcomings within that specific destination. And sadly, to say that in most cases, I have identified that your local communities are usually marginalized, they are sidelined, and in some instances, they are totally ignored. And if you look at the philosophy and the principles of Ubuntu, why is that so? And that is the issue that I would like to address this afternoon. But before we get there, I'd like to share with you a thought for the day. And that thought says, the capacity of hope is the most significant fact of life. It provides human beings with a sense of destination. Now, if you can remember this morning, we spoke about a vision. And the gentleman spoke about goals and a destination. And he said sometimes when we design or we formulate our vision, we concentrate on the goals, but we forget about the destination. And in this instance, the destination is the important key. And it goes further by saying that it also gives you the energy to get started. And I think that is crucial when you look at tourism and tourism development within South Africa and also Southern Africa. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Can I get away from this formal thingy here? Right. So what I'd like to leave with you this afternoon is the following. I've taken the old philosophy of Ubuntu and I've identified 3 important pillars on which I'm going to base my discussion this afternoon. The first one has to do with a common vision. And I think we all now know that a common vision is a futuristic dream, where a community, where a country, where a destination wants to be. But how do we develop a common vision? You need to have shared understanding of what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and who's going to be involved at the end of the day. Furthermore, we need to look at cooperation. There need to be mutual, common cooperation between all stakeholders. And that must be done on the basis of trust and loyalty. There must be no hidden agendas. And I think with the advent of the new South Africa and the formation of BEE companies, many big corporations and smaller organizations must use individuals because of who they are and what their surnames were, and put them in as directors of company so that they can be BEE compliant. And does that serve the purpose of Ubuntu and the whole exercise that we are looking at? The answer is no. And the third leg, or the third pillar, is building sustainable community businesses. Now there are a few, but how sustainable are they really? And I'd like to look at those 3 pillars over there in the context of tourism and further expanding it to sustainable tourism development, making us responsible for how we act as tourism professionals in order to ensure that we look after the environment, that we look after the communities, and that we look after the interests of those individuals coming into our destination, paying good money to be there, and send them home with a lasting memory so that they can return. And that is what sustainability is all about. Furthermore, I'm going to just look at one form of legislation, the Tourism White Paper, and look at the ambit of that Tourism White Paper and the essence it provides in terms of those 3 pillars over there. And then lastly, I'm going to look at 2 examples. The World Cup as a classic example, and then 3 destinations that I visited in the last 3 years, to give you some indication how your local communities are sidelined when it comes to tourism implementation. Now, first of all, let us look at South Africa. I think South Africa is a great nation. It's a great country to live in. And I think after the 1994 elections, it has become clear to the government, with the decline in mining as an activity, they had to find another industry that could make a contribution to the GDP of this country. And if you look at the uniqueness of South Africa as a country, we have an abundance to offer any tourists coming to our destination, right? And we have identified ourselves with the best in the world in becoming an international destination. But what makes us in South Africa, in terms of that tourism product, so unique? First of all, when you look at our eco and biodiversity, one of the biggest selling points of this country is our wildlife, the Big Five. You know, with the World Cup, there were still people 15 years into our democracy that believe that if you come to Johannesburg and you land at the airport, you will find lions and elephants walking around. The only wild animal that we had in Joburg about a few months ago was a tiger called Banjo, who jumped over bucket and walked around on the East Rand. And I think that must have been a sight. We also have scenic beauty, right? Fauna and flora, some of the most unique places. Last year we visited the Overberg. And you know, as far as you go into the Overberg, the Agulhas Nature Reserve, you find all different species of protea. And does anybody in this room, apart from those that have been at the conference last year, know where the Overberg is? You see, that's the problem we have when it comes to the promotion of certain areas. We all know where's Cape Town, and we all know Table Mountain. Why? Because it's been marketed in a way to attract your local tourists. And yet, the Overberg is part of Cape Town, and it's got some of the nicest places and experiences that one can enjoy while you live in Cape Town. We also have sunny beaches. You know, if you go overseas, you walk on beaches where you have little pebbles. Right? In South Africa, we have the sun and we have beaches over here. We have man-made and natural attractions, Cape Town, and with your cable cart over there. We have Sun City, or nowadays called Sun City, right? Palace in the sun. We have our cultural and heritage. Now, you know, the biggest and one of the biggest trends in tourism nowadays is what is known as the experience seeker. A very specific niche market that has been established. People between the ages of 18 and 31. And you know, experience seekers are those people that will travel for specific reasons. Because they want to explore, they want to experience, and they want to engage with the local community. A lot of them go on holiday and they become volunteers to become part and parcel of the process to understand how people live, what they do, and how they act. And then we have cuisine, local cuisine. Now, you know what is very strange to me is you go to a place like Sakumzi, as a restaurant in Soweto, which is basically there for your foreign tourists. You have busloads of people going into that establishment on a daily basis. Now, if I think of Sakumzi and I'm a tourist, I want to go in there and experience local cuisine. I don't want to eat westernized food. And you look at their menu, 7 different dishes, and 2 of those